Hello, hello, hello. Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from AlexMercedCoder.dev. I want to introduce you to another library that I did this weekend. So this was a very productive weekend, this New Year's weekend from 2022 to 2023. I created a web framework called Coquito and a CLI that lets you scaffold apps in a very cool JSON-based way for that. I've added TypeScript bindings to that, which is something I haven't really done for my libraries before. So I added TypeScript bindings to that, but then that meant I also had to go back and add TypeScript bindings to Simple RPC, which was an RPC framework that I created in the past. Okay, so those are all like up and running in TypeScript and not TypeScript. And then this afternoon, I was just taking a walk, and then I had this idea. I was like, why not create a database and based on JSON files? I'm not the first person to do this. Like if you look up JSON DB in NPM, you'll find other people who've made JSON file based databases. Okay, so again, not saying this is like I am original in this idea, but I'm pretty happy with my particular implementation. Having worked a lot in the data spaces last year, I really kind of thought about, okay, what's a good lightweight way, but potentially slightly scalable way of kind of storing data just in a JSON file. And basically we created it right here, SencilloDB. It's not meant for like big data, but if you're looking just to create like a quick app that's not going to be handling like huge amounts of data, but you just want a database that's just easy to work with, no cost because it's just a JSON file. Kind of like SQLite, as SQLite is to like Postgres and MySQL. You can think of SencilloDB as like that to like Mongo and other document databases. Okay, so yeah, let's just actually show it to you at work. But yeah, it's SencilloDB. This is gonna be another project, and it also has TypeScript bindings. So literally in like an afternoon, I've created a database, the library, the TypeScript bindings. It's all there. Okay, only available in JavaScript. But if someone wants to go build out a Python implementation based on this implementation, feel free to do so. After today, it's back to the day job. So, yeah. Okay, so let's see here. Let's create a new project. Okay, so let's just create a new npm project, npm init-y. Okay, one thing about all my new libraries is that they are all ES modules. They are taking advantage of some of the things in the new versions of npm. So generally, you are going to want an node version 18 or above to use Coquito, maybe not simple RPC, and this database, SencilloDB. Just keep that in mind. If you use older versions of Node, you might run into some API clashes. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to install Sencillo, npm install Sencillo. Oh, DB. Okay, so I'm installing it. It's installed. Let's write a script. Let's call it index.js. And then what you do is we're going to import SencilloDB. I also going to want to import QuickTX, which should be in there. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to console log both of them, make sure that I imported them both fine. Should be a class and a function. Okay. So I'm just going to run that real quick. Node index.js. Oh, cannot use import statement outside of a module. Ah, that's the issue. I forgot to turn this into a module. Type module. Okay. And that's the other thing about SencilloDB. There's like no dependencies. I don't think I use any libraries. It's just pure Node code from scratch. Okay. Yep, so there we go. So I got a function and a class. That's exactly what it should be. Perfect. Okay. So now, let's do this. So basically, the first thing you do is you create a database. And as simple as this. Const db equals a new Sencillo database, and then you just can pass it the name of the file you want. By default, it'll just use SencilloDB, so I don't even have to. I can just do that, and I'll have a database. Okay? Like, just to show it to you, if I literally just run this, you'll see the database appear. Okay, and you see like there it is. There's the database. Right now it just starts out as an empty JSON object. Okay, now there's two ways I can then transact in that database. I could just do db.transaction, And this allows me to pass in a function that allows me to run as many operations as I want in one transaction. So this allows me to like batch transactions, like do updates, deletes, creates, but it only save after all of them are done. Okay, so that way you're not constantly saving and rewriting that JSON file for every individual transaction if you don't want to. Okay, and this TX object here is where all the methods are. So if I go here, there's like methods like create, so I can create, all of it's in the documentation. Okay, tx.create. And essentially what this is going to take, it takes in an object called instructions, which is also visible in the TypeScript bindings. But in this, basically, I want to give it a couple different properties. I want to say, hey, this is what I want to add. So, we'll say it's a dog named Scruffy and with an age of 5. Now, my database can be made up of different collections. Each collection is just essentially one, think of it as like a table. If you use Mongo, you're familiar with what a collection is. So I'm just going to say, hey, I want this to be done in a collection named dog. Okay. And the cool thing is that you can also do indexing. I haven't really used DynamoDB, but I think I've heard that DynamoDB does something similar. But essentially the way I do this is that basically the collection isn't just like one big array of data. It can be many different arrays of data. Like if I just did this would save the data in a index called default. Okay. So we'll just actually show you that at work. So if I just run this, okay, and then I take a look here in the SencilloJSON, see like there's the data. And like if I just hit do file save here, it'll auto format so that way you can see it nice prettier. So you see I have a collection named dog. Oh, I have stats for the table. Right now I only track what's how many you've inserted because that's how I determine the ID, and a total, just because in case you want to run a query of like what's the total number of items there, instead of having to count the items, we can just pull that metadata. There'll probably be more metadata added per collection in the future as I add more types of transactions. Right now it's pretty simple. But you see, as it's this default index. So basically, if I just rather have all that data in one big array, I never have to specify an index. But if I want to split up the data, so let's say I want to organize the dogs by like the letter of their first name, I could do something like this. So if I go back here to index, okay, and what I want to do is let's say we'll do a create many. Okay, and then so this case the data would be an array of, let's say, dogs. So I still want it to be in the collection dog. But let's create a few dogs. Okay. We'll do 2 with S names. So we'll say like Stevie. And then we'll do 2 with V names. Just call them Vitevi and Barrow. I just don't have them. I'm sure to be thinking of names right now. Okay, so I'm going to add these 4 dogs. Okay, and the dog that I already created is already still there. So again, it's literally in the JSON file. So when I run this again, assuming that it's running the same JSON file, which it will be because I haven't specified a new file argument, it's going to do that. But now I would also want to add an index. I want to say, hey, I want to index these dogs. I could just, if I wanted to add them all to the same index, I could just put forward like a string, a boolean, or a number, and it'll just add them all to that index. But in this case, I want to organize them into different indexes. So I can pass a function that takes in the object, so in this case, whichever object I'm adding, and allows me to return a value based on that object that'll be its index. Sort of it's the way we index it. So in this case, I want to do it based on like the names, the first letter of the name. So return, we'll say name dot split, and then we'll just split it by every character. And I just want to do it based on the first character, 0. Okay. And that's actually, so it should be obj.name.split. Okay, so I'm just returning the first letter of the name, and then it'll index them based on that. So let's watch what happens. And here, just to kind of show that, this returns a value. So it's going to const dogs created equals transactions create many. And then what I can do is whatever this callback here returns, so I can return something. I don't have to return everything from every operation I do. I can just say, hey, this is all I really want. So at the end of this whole transaction, I'm just going to return dogs created, which I want this to be dogs created to be semantic. Okay. And we'll just save that const result equals the result of the transaction. So if I console.log the result, Let's watch what happens. Okay, and if I remember right, this is an asynchronous transaction, so I should probably await this. Okay. And you see, like, I added them, so I see the actual things that I just added. But now if I take a look over here at the Sensio JSON, let's save. Okay, you see like it organized them into, they're not just all in the default index. I have dogs that are inside the S and the V index. And the benefit of there is that when you do like finds and searches, you can specify the index so you don't have to look through every single dog. You can look through just the dogs that have to start with S. Okay, but if you don't specify an index, it will look through all of them. Okay, but basically it does give you some opportunity to create like faster transactions. Okay, so that's pretty cool. But again, you see this is like a lot of code. What if you just really want to write quick one operation transactions? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment out this code. Okay, let's just write it to a different file. Let's make a different database. So I'll pass an argument to SencilloDB and file, we'll just say to db.json. Okay, so that'll be our next database. But now what I can do is I can use this quick ticks function. What this does, it just creates a wrapper. So basically I say const qtx for quick transaction equals quick ticks or quick transaction, and we just pass it our database. Okay, and now I can do this qtx qtx, and then I just pass it the string of the function name that I want to run. So I want to, let's say, do create many. Okay, and then I pass it the instruction object. Okay, which in this case I'll just copy it from over here. So what I'll do is I'll just comment this out for a second. We're back in. Copy the instruction object, which is the argument to the operation. Pass it right over here. Okay, so that way we're essentially creating those same dogs, but in a different database. Now we'll comment that back out again. Okay, and again, this is just, I don't have to worry about what it returns. This is just going to return what create many returns. Like I don't have to think about like, oh, I did 10 different operations. What do I want to return from this transaction? I can just be like, no, this const created dogs equals await qtx, and then I can console.log the created dogs, and then I hit node index.js. There's the dogs that were created, and see, like it created a new file there, db.json. Okay, and again, I'll just file save this so that way VS Code just nice and auto formats it for me. And there you go. Okay, I see I have my collection, and I can add multiple collections, and it works. And again, you can essentially power a very small app off of this. Again, a JSON file isn't going to power a whole startup, but the idea is if you just need sort of a quick database to do some stuff in, this is cool. Okay, I'm pretty stoked with how this turned out. Again, I'm going to try to add more functions to it, like ability to do sort of like things like aggregations and other more interesting stuff. But as far as like doing some basic transactions for like most transactional apps, you can do that already. It works. And you have a sort of level of indexing you can. Another thing I want to add is like a rewrite so that we can rewrite a collection. So you can say, hey, I want to rewrite all the data in here. I want you to index them with using this function, and then sort them using this sort function. So that way they're all sorted and they are all indexed in, because you might have decided like, hey, now looking back on it, I would rather have indexed them this way. But those are things that come in the future, but I'm pretty stoked. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I didn't think I would be able to build something like this, and I did, so yay. So again, if you enjoyed this, like the video, subscribe, leave a comment. Again, this is new. I would love for you to go try it out, see if you find any bugs. Same thing with Coquito, same thing with Simple RPC. Go try out those libraries, build some simple apps with them. And again, if there's something you want to add, feel free to make a pull request, because always fun to make commits to other code bases. And two, feel free to file an issue with things that you want added or you want fixed. So thank you very much. Have a great day and enjoy.